with God in Nigeria and your walk with God in Canada, if you were to put it at par, which do you think, where do you think you are right now?
So I would say my walk with God in Nigeria. So I feel like as life evolved, right?
Yeah.
I can say my walk with God in Canada is a lot more better. And when I say it's a lot more better, I'm talking in terms of quality, right? Like I know of a truth that I have a personal relationship with God. I won't say I did not have back in Nigeria, right? But you know when you're in Nigeria now, I don't know. I think it's a mix of the issues you're facing. It's a mix of the things you want, So back
why I'm
home it was
asking
more or
this?
less like, yeah.
A lot of people have this narrative that when people come to the diaspora, they tend to forget. They say because of the Christianity that you were taught in Nigeria, then you come to the abroad, the roads are there, things you were praying for in Nigeria. And I'm like, I get that narrative. But a lot of people that I know got closer to God even in the abroad than Nigeria.
Absolutely. Exactly.
So I think it's a thing of what were you being taught when you were in Nigeria? Who were you? Because
who were you?
Because even the people in Nigeria, because now that they have peace of mind in the abroad, that's when they are now like, oh God. It's as though they have time for God in the abroad than even in the Nigeria that seemingly they should have had time for. So that was why I asked, and thank God that you are still, the narrative is the same for you. Because I want to say the narrative is the same for a lot of people that I've spoken to.
I think it's a lot more better for me here.
How did you form that? Because the issue also is community. How were you able to fan the flame of your spirituality even in the abroad?
Okay, so I would say maybe like starting from Nigeria, there is a tendency to take things for granted. We have church everywhere. There's this program. You get. We don't have that much community here, right? So I would say what has helped here is the fact that we have access to materials online, right? So if you want to actually be serious with your spirituality, you have every chance to. But aside that, on a personal note for me, my getting closer to God here is just because of that. By the time I was preparing to come to Canada, I think I started planning maybe like 2018 to come to Canada, and from 2018 I wasn't able to come until 2022. So I think within that time, I wanted to leave Nigeria. So I was, so when you want something, you are just there. Say, God, I will not visit the hem of His garment.
You were doing tachology on God.
God, I want to go. I want to leave Nigeria.
In local palace.
Yeah. So I would say back. So I would say back in Nigeria, if I was to be honest, it was more or less about what I wanted. Yes, I knew God. I was serving God. It was more, and I think one other thing that happened was after I left school, I stopped serving. I stopped serving, which was I think where I stopped serving. After school I wasn't in the choir, nothing. I stopped serving. That would be just one other.
Wait. No.
I was never.
I don't think it's after school. I think no. You served. I knew you served. You served in the choir.
Back in church?
Yeah.
No, that was just that my service then was so the people would not say she has come back from school. She's proud. You get. It was not service.
Because I know when you came back from UK, you still did you serve in UK?
I served in the UK. I did. I was in the choir in the UK. I was in the choir in the UK. In Birmingham, I was in the choir. I served. But when I came back after that, everything stopped. I didn't serve. So I think that was where it was more or less like a survival. It was like survival of the fittest. Just let's just get by, let's just get by life. Life just overwhelms you every day. It's just the same thing. You go to work, you're taking care of your kids, your family.
Can you trace it to guilt or anything?
No, I don't think it was guilt. I think it was just, I was just too consumed with
life.
With life. I think that's what happened. And I think that's what happens to most. We are just consumed. And what you should put first, we put last, right? We think we're not praying, there's no relationship, there's nothing, and we're just going we're just going along the path of life. No sense of purpose. Again, you are so overwhelmed with marriage, you're so overwhelmed with your children, and then you put God in the back seat, right? And then we just seem to forget our first love. And I think that's what happened to me. I was still the good moral girl, right? I was still the morally upright person, I had kids, I had the family. So it was just like, let's just be good. God has made that to get thus far.
You start to consume everything.
You get thus far as God helped us. You understand? The Instagram, we are there, and we just never realized that we just let the enemy sleep in. So I think that's so many. You take on so many, and in your life, you think everything is so fine, but it's not fine. Some people, it takes few years before they realize that something has gone wrong. I think for me, it took years for me to realize that.
You even be proud, Seth. You'll be feeling like if.
I think I was traveling, I had my kids abroad in the US. I was like, what more do you want, child of God? Everything is fine.
Lost sense of purpose. It gave you a good life or a seemingly good life in exchange for purpose.
Exactly. So I think I at that point, everything, I just let it go. I was just moving. I was just moving. Even when I just on the escalator, you're just there. Let me just be going anywhere. There was nothing. There was no sense of purpose. Nothing. So I think after those years in Nigeria, right, just before I came to Canada, there was a turn, and then it kind of sort of jolted me back to life to say, my dear, there is more to this. You're just cooking, taking care of children. There is more. And I think that's why I would say that my relationship with God in Canada is a lot more. It's a lot better. It's everything and more. Like nothing else. There's nothing else I can compare to, because God has brought that sense of purpose back. He has brought that sense of awareness back of who I was, who I am in Him. The love of God has been made so real to me now that there's nothing else I can't fathom my life without God here. So it's not, I think maybe in Nigeria we feel like, there are people chasing me from my father's and my mother. There's no way they cannot chase anybody. There's no way. It's not a physical thing. We're not wrestling against flesh and blood, right? So it defines boundaries, it defines location, it defines all of that. So I think knowing where we come from, knowing our roots, we still have to stay connected to this body. Even back when I was not praying for, people say, in Nigeria there's no light. Why would I be praying lights for lights? So why if I come and there's I'm like, even if there's lights here, like there are so many other things I need to fulfill purpose, And I was telling someone a few days ago, I'm like, it was when Papa did his birthday that week, and I said, I could just imagine Baba Deboye as a banker now, or maybe as a retiree, and he dies and gets to heaven. God says, God shows him that these are the things that you would have done. But you were a banker, you were a civil servant, you were a civil servant, permanent secretary.
And he won't have known on earth, he won't have known here.
Until we get there. So I think that's the most important thing for me. To say, God, I don't want to get to heaven and you will say, Adedoyin, look at the things you would have done. Look at, and you show me a place of no return. When the Bible says there'll be weeping and gnashing of teeth, it's not because of the sin, it's because many of us will be surprised. And I think that's the greatest way that I have, that God, help me to fulfill purpose. Like everything that you have in the books for me, help me, to be able to be patient, to receive. Even as I receive, to run with it, I don't want to be surprised and able to say, look at the things you would have done for me, the fruits you would have, brought to my kingdom, and you never did. My dear, I think it's very scary.
I think
So I think that's why
living with a sense of purpose just changes the game.